Welcome to Outside Views EU. Today we're diving into how Brexit has affected EU policies and institutions. Brexit was a major turning point for the European Union, and when the UK voted to leave, many predicted it would shake the foundations of the EU. And in some ways, it did. The departure of a key member state like the UK forced the EU to adapt in various ways. And let's start by looking at the immediate political impact within the EU. One of the most noticeable changes after Brexit was the shift in power dynamics among the remaining member states. Without the UK, countries like France and Germany saw their influence grow even more. The balance between these larger countries and the smaller ones has shifted. The EU had to rethink its internal cohesion without the UK's often skeptical perspective. But beyond power politics, Brexit also had an impact on specific EU policies. Trade was one of the biggest areas hit by Brexit. The UK was a major trading partner for many EU countries. When it left the single market, the EU had to adjust its trade policies both with the UK and globally. The new EU-UK Trade and Cooperation Agreement set the stage for future economic relations, but it's far from perfect. Businesses across Europe have had to navigate new customs checks and regulatory barriers, and that's had a ripple effect across industries. From finance to manufacturing, the EU had to rethink how it deals with third countries, including the UK, and that's still ongoing. And now let's talk about the budget. The UK was a net contributor to the EU budget. When it left, that indeed left a noticeable gap in the finances, just not the 350 million a week of the red bus. And some feared this could lead to cuts in EU programs or a rise in contributions from other member states. To fill the void, the EU had to make some tough budgetary decisions. But Brexit also had some unintended positive effects on EU cohesion. While many feared other countries might follow the UK's lead, Brexit actually seems to have solidified support for the EU. The complications of the UK's departure made other member states think twice about leaving. In fact, Brexit sparked a deeper conversation about the benefits of EU membership. And this led to a greater emphasis on unity, and especially during the challenges like the COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine. And the EU has taken steps to reform its institutions post-Brexit. One key area has been in strengthening decision-making processes. The departure of a large member state has in some ways made it easier for the EU to streamline certain policies. Brexit showed the importance of a more unified approach to decision-making in areas like defense, climate change, and digital policy. It also prompted the EU to be more assertive on the global stage. Without the UK, the EU has been keen to show it remains a strong and influential global player. Now, what about the EU's institutions themselves? Brexit forced the EU to rethink the distribution of seats in the European Parliament, for example. The UK had 73 seats, which were redistributed among other member states. And this reshuffle has changed the makeup of the Parliament, affecting the balance of political power. Brexit also highlighted the role of the European Commission. The Commission had to play a central role in the Brexit negotiations, and this raised questions about the future role of the Commission in shaping Europe's external relations. But beyond the Parliament and the Commission, Brexit also led to discussions about the future of the European Council. As the EU's intergovernmental body, the Council had to adapt to a new reality without the UK. And that brought new dynamics to Council meetings, with leaders focusing more on how to present a unified front. So in terms of policy and institutional changes, Brexit has been a catalyst for adaptation. It's forced the EU to rethink its position both internally and externally. However, while the EU has certainly been affected, it also found opportunities for growth and reform. Brexit has in some ways pushed the EU to become more cohesive. It strengthened the resolve of many member states to remain within the Union. And the EU has been quick to show that it can survive without the UK and in some areas even thrive. And that's not to say that there haven't been challenges. The EU-UK relationship remains complex and will likely be a key issue for years to come. There are still transitional periods in some cases. But Brexit has undeniably reshaped the EU's policies and institutions. And in conclusion, Brexit was a shock to the system, but it wasn't the end of the European project. The EU continues to evolve and adapt in response to both internal and external pressures. Brexit has left its mark, but it's also opened up new paths for the EU to follow. So thanks for watching Outside Views EU. Let me know your thoughts on Brexit and its impact on the EU in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more updates on how Europe is navigating its future. Until next time, the next video is right here in the end screen.